What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another episode of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango. Joining me, as always, are Robert E. Felice.
Hello, everyone.
And Callum Wiggins.
I remember back in the day when these hot tags used to be hot.
They weren't always, you know. I mean, we've done 549 of them at this point. We've had plenty of weeks where we're like, yeah, there's nothing to talk about, but
these hot tags look great for their age. You stop it.
What do they age better as? Like a Diane Lane or something?
Yes.
Well, we do have some interesting things to talk about, but then some other things that are like, I don't know, let's throw that story in there, that'll fill it out, kind of. So, as we normally do here with the hot tags, we want to know what you have to say, so drop your comments below on YouTube. If you're listening elsewhere, then put something out there on YouTube, or well, go on YouTube, that's what I should be saying. Put something out there on Facebook or Twitter, or the page on smarkoutmoment.com, or, stand at the top of a mountain and shout it. I don't know. Do your thing. And if you are on the YouTube side of things, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that join button, and you will be a member of the channel, and that makes you super duper awesome. And that also gives you access to potential tiers that you can get access to on the Patreon as well, including the Dark Cast and the Pick Your Poison. We got a Pick Your Poison coming up for next week, actually. It's going to be our main event, where we're going to do an AEW and WWE mock draft, as sponsored by Frankie. So thank you for Frankie. Thank you, Frankie, for sponsoring that. Show your love if you got it. Open up your wallets and toss a little spare change our way with that thanks button, or check out the TeePublic and Redbubble shops, pick up some merchandise, or just, send good vibes or something. We got some hot tags to talk about here, though. That's the point. So let's just get into this. Let's talk about the AEW All-Atlantic Championship. Yeah, Tony Khan had said before that he's got multiple title belts just kind of sitting there waiting to unveil them. And we've been waiting for a while for the trios titles. I know that some people have been thinking, hey, maybe there is a women's tag team title. I don't think that that's something that they need to do right now. But I would not have expected the All-Atlantic Championship for a multitude of reasons. It's just another men's title. It's one. Another reason is the name, the All-Atlantic Championship. I'm confused about that a little bit.
So was the rest of the world, especially with the Japanese flag on it. I love the look of the belt. I know a lot of people were really ragging on them for the name and it's the All-Atlantic, but you got the Japanese flag on here, and that's the Pacific. And look, I love the name just because it sounds different. I love the belt. It's a gorgeous title belt. And if this is going to be their official IC title or European title or whatever the hell, I don't care. It's cool. They have enough men on that roster that need things to fight for. And I always say that whether you liked the European title, Tony, or not, it was important for people to have things to fight for. Christian and DDP got a WrestleMania match because of the European title. I think that this is going to be great, and I think they've got a hell of a way to kick this thing off. But what do you think, Helen?
It's definitely a very good-looking title. I think the name is a bit dumb, because I think they're just trying to... Because they just didn't want to call it the Intercontinental Championship. And they know it's the Intercontinental Championship. And they had to come up with a different name to make it stand out. And I think they tried to dive into old NWA approaches, where you had like the Mid-Atlantic Championship and the gas station on Highway 95 Championship.
Pacific East West.
Yeah. Just those two titles, and they came out with that name, but obviously at least two of the flags that are on the title belt represent countries that are very much in the Pacific Ocean, or at least surrounded by the Pacific Ocean. So it doesn't really work on that side of things. At least they're trying to give some kind of gimmick to it by having people of all nations represented in the brackets of the tournament, or like multiple different nations at the very least. I think, depending on what the New Japan match is, it should be 8 different nationalities involved. And yeah, I think even though there is the argument, I'm sure many people have made it, and I'm sure there is. I'm not saying that this opinion is incorrect, but I don't think that this is too many championship belts for the men's side of things, because they just have too many men on the roster that need something to do. And title belts, when done correctly, are a good device in order to make easy feuds, easy rivalries, and add stakes to matches. If handled incorrectly, they become props that just devalue both the title there, they have, the people holding and fighting for the championship, and by proxy, pretty much every other title in the company. So I think it's probably a risk that I wouldn't have taken at this point, especially when you don't have trios championships yet, and that was the one that everyone was kind of clamoring for. So I reserve judgment to see what they do with it, and who they give the first champion to, and how they treat the title afterwards. But I've already started to sour on their treatment of the TNT Championship, so adding another men's title is not the best step, in my opinion, from first impressions.
Then what? I forgot to bring the image up. What are the ones that are on there? Is United States, Canada, Japan?
I think
Russia was one.
I think China was on there.
Oh, China might be on there.
Be on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember which ones are on there.
China, you're thinking of the red, but it was the Chinese flag.
Let me see here. Okay, now I got it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that one's could be problematic as well, but it's not the if they put the Russian flag in, they really didn't know what was
problematic.
Yeah. I have said before I don't like location-based championships because I feel like it doesn't make any sense. Like the North American title in NXT has absolutely nothing to do with North America. You could have somebody from I don't know. The middle of Russia win the championship, where you could have somebody from the fucking Antarctica if you wanted to win this title, and it wouldn't have any bearing on it whatsoever. So I've always been more of an advocate of an idea of something called the national championship, where you make it like a side plate that has like the flags of whoever wins it, and then it could just be, hey, anybody who wins this is kind of representation of whatever country, but they don't have side plates in AEW, and they're very much into these like tall rectangular titles. Have you guys noticed that? All these newer belts are having that sort of main plate where it's kind of just very vertical. I like the look of it overall, but
I just think like it. I'm so used to the stupid WWE belts now. I hate them, and I've talked often about how I hate them. These belts are just nice. They look like belts that you would want to hold and win, and look like a star while holding. And as far as like the argument about too many men's belts, I think they desperately needed this far more than they needed trios, because yeah, it's good to group guys together, but you've got guys like Pac who need to win a title like this so that it elevates their status, because Pac's been doing next to nothing. So this could really help. Miro will probably win this thing, and it gives him another belt to beat the shit out of people with. I'm very in favor of this. I'm really in favor of the fact that they swerved me. Like, I was all set. As soon as they said new belts, I already had the trios headline ready. And when I saw this, I was like, oh, that's actually better, because no one saw that coming.
Outside of the name and me not liking that, the idea of having another title brings up a question to me about the weight of certain titles, because we know that even if they try to play that it's not the case, the TNT title is obviously not as coveted as the world title, and I'm curious where this one's going to land, if it's going to be above the TNT title or below it or equal, because the European Championship, when it first came on board, they treated it like it was a big deal, but we all knew that it wasn't the same as the Intercontinental title. And then within 2 or 3 different title reigns, it became very obvious that it wasn't. You start off with a prominent name winning it in the tournament, passing it on to a world champion, passing it on to a guy who would eventually become one of the most decorated champions ever, but at that point had only been the Intercontinental champion. But it's still pretty big name, and you're still keeping it in that higher echelon. And eventually you start giving it to people that are all right, well,
it took them a good year or so to get to that point. But I think this belt is going to be the secondary belt that will actually take rankings into account, since the TNT title is more just like, I want that one, and then they get it.
They seem to be playing around with the TNT title a lot with the design as well. And maybe that's their gimmicky title in a way. I know that obviously a lot of people are going to go, that's the TV title because it's named after the TV station and everything. But again, TV titles don't mean what they used to. That used to be whoa, we got a TV championship because
more,
of whatever.
Quite frankly.
But they're all TV titles.
They should be more.
Yeah. They don't go on house show loops the same that's what you used to do in 1970s or anything. So the TV title concept just fundamentally doesn't work. And you can call the TBS or TNT title the TV titles of those divisions, but what's the difference between that and the other stuff? So I am very interested to see who wins this. And we, of course, are going to give our breakdown of Forbidden Door when we get to next week's main event, as far as it's week after next week. We'll know more about who is actually going to be competing in the Fatal Four-Way. They don't call it Fatal Four-Way. Right now, though, I'm going to have to say that I think that Pac's going to win it.
I think until I see otherwise, because he's on the bracket, I'll say Miro. But if Miro, for whatever reason, doesn't make it, I think Pac needs to win this. And they kind of hammered it home that, hey, we're the number one program in the UK. You think Pac's going to win? We're the number one program in the UK. Listen, Pac should win. I'm all in favor of him being a champion. He was Cruiserweight champion, which is, less than nothing in WWE. And for a minute there, it seemed like he was going to be one of the top world title contenders when AEW first started up. So this could be really cool for him and give him something to do.
I think considering the people that they've gotten lined up for this match so far, they can't really go wrong with the first champion. Pac would be an excellent choice. Miro, of course, I would love Miro to have titles because Miro's the greatest. I think it would be very worthwhile to give Malachi Black this as well. I think he's been in need of more direction as a leader of this faction, and giving him a title belt would certainly give him that status.
But then, you know what? Then there's Ethan Page, who maybe the winner of that Ethan Page Miro match has the best shot, because Ethan Page could also be a really great champion.
I see very little chance of him beating.
I do
Miro.
as well.
Yeah,
saying,
I already wrote him off as not even winning that.
I was so hoping, and obviously this is the direction they're going in now, but I was so hoping for
it'd be Sky versus Page.
It was Sky versus Page for the title, and Page could have won the TNT championship, but clearly they're going with the Wardlow thing. And to be fair, I'd be happy with Wardlow winning it. The thing is with the TNT championship is that they haven't really lowered its prominence on television. It still features quite a lot. It's just that the feuds have been, and the booking has been pretty sucky around it recently. So that's why it's gone down in stature. So as long as they actually treat this title belt well and keep it featured, then that shouldn't be too much of an issue. It basically means they have enough championships. They can pretty much make every single episode of TV and have a match for a different championship.
Especially if you factor in the ROH titles.
Yeah, exactly.
And the women's titles and all that.
Yeah, and it's makes shows more must see, because pretty much during the Attitude Era, it seemed like every single show had at least one championship match going on. So that could be a worthwhile venture as well. And we still have that unknown element because we have no idea who New Japan's representative is going to be in this. And it would be quite a cementer for their relationship if they decide to make the first ever champion of this a New Japan guy.
Who do you think could be?
Yeah, we don't even know which one of the two, of course, it's going to move on because we don't know who the two are.
Shingo.
Yeah, they haven't said. I mean, I don't think it'll be Shingo Takagi because he's currently the King of Pro Wrestling champion. Again, we're going to talk about Dominion a little bit at some point during this, so won't go too much into it. But there is a match in Dominion that it's currently a singles match that has no stakes, that does fit the bill in the fact that there isn't an American representative or a Japanese representative in this tournament yet. But I do not realistically want the fourth qualify for this match to be one of either Doc Gallows or Toru Yano.
Yeah. I don't want Yano in this.
Because they're a bit of a joke. Because they're both they don't fit with the other three guys in terms of wrestling ability or seriousness. So I'm hoping they fit another match in, but I don't know who works at the moment for it, because one of them needs to be American or one of the other nationalities that wasn't currently represented in the 6 other ones, and they don't have a Japanese guy, and obviously one of them will be a Japanese guy. But
they've used the one that wins could be a Japanese guy.
Yeah, they've used Ishii a lot, so that's obviously a fair go-to. I don't think it'll be Goto because he's fighting for the other opportunity. Unlikely to be Taichi or someone like that. Yeah, at the moment I don't know who they would go for. Maybe they'd go with someone like go wildcard and go for someone from the juniors, like, because you've got Pac in there, so you could throw in someone like Hiromu or Desperado in there, and that could work. But we'll have to wait and see.
Though? Hanare be pretty good for this.
Yeah, I think he's treated too much. I think he's treated too much like a joke in New Japan for that to be credible.
Which sucks because he's really got good size, and I think he could be a big deal.
But I think we'll know. I don't think we'll know at Dominion, but I think we'll know pretty soon after that. I mean, we're going to have to because it's only a couple of weeks away, so they're going to have to figure out something when they're going to do that match.
Unless they've lined him up with Danielson as is. Zack Sabre Jr.
They already have a UK guy in it.
With Pac, yeah.
That's true.
That's why I think it won't be either Ospreay or Zack, even though I would obviously love those two. I think it's going to be a Japanese representative, so I kind of limited my scope to that. You just
throw Tiger Mask in there just because. It's Tiger Mask.
Listen, as long as it's not evil, I'm probably going to be happy. So.
Yeah, I love this. I love what this title can be, and I'm all for things having more meaning. As you just said, the Attitude Era, all the titles mattered. Even the hardcore title was like, hey, this is a cool thing that anybody can win. You know? Why it would have been nice to have Becky Lynch win a title on Raw, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely some potential here, if not just for it to be like, all right, well, it's the Intercontinental title. Cool. And we'll figure out, of course, who wins the first inaugural championship when we get to, not Dominion, when we get to Forbidden Door. And in the meantime, we'll try to figure out what's happening. Next episode of Dynamite, they might announce some different things, and we'll do some more qualifying matches and set that up a little bit. But that is at least a good looking belt. And if you want to make sure that you're looking good and sporting something that you can actually get, instead of just, you can't win that All-Atlantic Championship, but you can get yourself something from Manscaped. You can get yourself
looking good below the belt.
That's true. Below the belt. That's a great transition for that. You should be checking out manscaped.com, including their most recent package that they have going on right now. We've talked about their different package plans before, but outside of the performance package and such, now they have the Platinum package. It is the Platinum package 4.0, the luxury full body grooming kit. This one has pretty much everything in it. So you can get the Lawnmower 4.0, that awesome waterproof electric trimmer. You got the ear and nose hair trimmer called the Weed Whacker. I love those names. But you also have your 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, your body wash, your deodorant, your crop preserver, your crop reviver, the magic mat, the shed, travel bag, and the boxers. And of course, this is a great Father's Day special. So if you want to get something for somebody for that holiday, then take advantage of that while you can and use that promo code SMARK. Get yourself 20% off and free shipping on that and anything else that you want to pick up, because you could always just pick up some more things on the side there. Get one of the things that isn't on this is the little tiny razor. And if you want to get that is something that I've used quite often. I really, really like that little razor. A lot of different anti-chafing materials that they have and different I forget how we technically qualify it. It was the advanced skin safe technology to make sure that you don't cut yourself with a lot of these things, which again, at this point, I have not done a single time. I've not had a single cut. Yet the other day I used one of my regular razors, got 3 cuts out of that. So just goes to show you pay for quality. And when you're picking up something from Manscaped, you're going to get that. So remember that promo code SMARK, SMARK, free shipping and 20% off. Take advantage of that. Get your platinum package today. So let's move on here from that All-Atlantic Championship and talk about some spoilers for the next few weeks. Now, if you do not want to know what happens on NXT for the next 2 weeks, and we won't even bother to talk about Level Up, who fucking cares? But the NXT side of things, Quincy Elliott beat somebody. Quincy Elliott's done nothing on NXT except for sit. So, yeah, it's not like anybody's going to be like, oh, man, why'd you spoil that? But if you don't want to know, skip forward a little bit. I don't know what indication it could be that we're done. I guess you don't hear any NXT names. But here are the spoilers for the next few weeks. I'm going to just very quickly run them down, and then we'll talk about anything that's interesting that you guys are feeling. We've got the Creed brothers retaining the NXT tag titles over Idris Enofe and Malik Blade. Fallon Henley beats Tiffany Stratton. Wes Lee gets a win over Zion Quinn. The Dyad is the name that they're going for the 2 druids of Joe Gacy.
Are the grizzled young veterans under a hood?
You think it's so?
Yeah, because why? Who else would they have that they'd feel comfortable enough to put in the ring?
I don't know. I think it's just 2 performance center people that they had no personality. They were like, you just do that, you know? But they beat Dante Chen and Javier Bernal. So we know at least they're not Dante Chen and Javier Bernal. Interesting. We've got some setup for a Tony D'Angelo and Carmelo Hayes North American title match, which later on, eventually on the 21st episode, Carmelo Hayes will retain due to Santos Escobar helping him out and tossing some brass knuckles his way. Duke Hudson gets a shot at the NXT title. He loses. Braun Breaker retains. And then Cameron Grimes challenges Braun Breaker to a title match for Great American Bash. It's kind of interesting. We're getting Grimes against Breaker.
I'm good with that. Just because Grimes has nothing else to do. Even though he just lost, and I tend to hate that. At least he's doing something, and it makes sense that he would go, I haven't won that one yet, so give me that.
I like it. And maybe that'll be the end of him in NXT. We can move on after that. Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams beat Stacks at 2 Dimes. We got a 6-woman tag team match. Toxic Attraction loses to Cora Jade, Indy Hartwell, and Roxanne Perez. At the debut of Giovanni Vinci, he beats Guru Raj. Not too surprising there. Guru Raj hasn't won a single match, I don't think. For God knows how long. Sorry about the ambulance, everybody. It's just the way that things are. Grayson Waller beats Solo Sikoa. So, despite the fact that Solo Sikoa had next, they switch over to that Tony D'Angelo thing pretty quickly, huh?
He still has next. He'll have next after Tony.
Next after next. We got more Katana Chance and Caden Carter. They beat Valentina Feroz and Yulissa Leon. And then eventually they interrupt a promo from Toxic Attraction and Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade talking about that they might fight for the tag titles. So I don't know why they're bringing Carter and Chance back.
Keeping you on your toes, because I know that Roxanne also said, yeah, I'm going to beat you. Or I could just team with my best friend here and we could beat you. They're just keeping you on your toes, making you wonder, what will they do? I'm
assuming at Great American Bash we get some kind of tag team title match more so.
I think at Bash it'll be a rematch from In Your House, and then Roxy will take on Mandy.
Kind of do both. Roxy versus Mandy there. Casey in the tag title thing. They lose again. And then Roxy and Cora just get a title match anyway.
Or because they like to do this because people can't have friends. Maybe Cora gets jealous and she turns on Roxy. Because how dare you try to better yourself?
And then some other matches that don't really matter. I mean, Cameron Grimes beats Idris Enofe. It's just to give him a win prior to Breaker. Von Wagner beats Brooks Jensen. Alba Fire beats Lash Legend by DQ. And Roderick Strong and Damon Kemp beat Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro. So that's 2 weeks worth of NXT right there. Look at that. It saved you 4 hours. Overall, they seem like they're fine episodes. Nothing too crazy. It's not the best
Of course,
stuff.
we don't know if they'll run any vignettes for like an Ava Rain or something. So
That's true. Yeah.
yeah.
How do you guys feel about Giovanni Vinci?
It's exactly what we said it would be. It's
Fabian Eichner. Yeah. But what do you think about that? Are you excited for him, or is it just meh? So it's Eichner.
Oh, Eichner's great. Eichner's a really, really good wrestler, so I'm excited. I'm happy to see him back in the ring again. I can't necessarily say that the Italian stereotype gimmick is going to work out particularly well, but yeah, stranger things have happened.
Stranger things have happened outside of the last 2 episodes. Very good job.
Vinci's fine, like I hope he's eventually revealed to be the kingpin of Tony D's family, because it just makes sense. And it's a lot of fun to think about that. But yeah, cool. Back on TV.
I do appreciate basically through those spoilers that you just mentioned that ever since the merger of the Tony D'Angelo family with the Status Quo, they're just losing all their matches because presumably they're just screwing each other over in all of their matches.
Yeah, the Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro match, they lose because of Stacks and Two Dimes, quote unquote, trying to help them out and fucking it up.
What's the point of that now?
Because they're building up to a match of the Great American Bash where it's just going to be, where lose down or something like that.
Yeah. Hopefully that's what happens. We have one more week, of course, before Great American Bash where they didn't record it ahead of time. So we don't know what's going to happen in that last week of June heading into GAB. But I am assuming you got Breaker Grimes, you got Toxic Attraction, either one of those titles or both of those titles on the line. I guess you're moving already past the Solo Sikoa thing, maybe? I don't know, but they might do a triple threat, maybe with Grayson Waller, Solo Sikoa, and Carmelo Hayes. Trick Williams has seemingly started a feud with Wesley. I don't know where that's going, but okay, sure. Maybe they want to throw Wesley in there and maybe make it a 4-way. I don't know. But there are
the promos being like, yeah, my friends are loyal. They don't leave, or something to that effect. Isn't his whole shtick just like, I'm alone and I'm sad?
Yeah, pretty much. Even though he's got a new tag team partner in theory from Nathan Fraser, but Nathan Fraser's like, oh, you're going to talk to Sangha? I guess I won't talk to you anymore. It's both.
Yeah, I don't get why they're like, Sanga's a nice guy. He's bigger than you and he'll beat the shit out of you, but he's a good guy. He doesn't mean any harm. That's a very odd gimmick for him.
Yeah, it's pretty strange. But that seems like that's what we're getting over the next few weeks, which I am very happy to have the spoilers for and not have to pay as much attention to it.
No Apollo Crews, when that was the big thing coming out of this week.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I didn't even think about that. That is really odd that they are going with this random Cameron Grimes thing. I completely forgot about the Apollo Crews switch that fast. Because that would have felt like that would have been the obvious thing, right? Apollo Crews gets the title shot at Great American Bash.
I guess they want to actually build Apollo back to kind of prominence.
Yeah, so based on the promo that he gave this week against Bron Breakker, the assumption that, and the fact that he then just moved into a tag team match with Solo Sikoa probably means that he wants to earn a title match by winning matches in NXT. But then again, if he's not winning matches in NXT and not appearing on NXT seemingly, then he's not going to get that title shot. Maybe Vince just saw him on the show and says, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy. Let's bring him back into the main roster," and then they just like moved on from it.
I think it's a good fit having Apollo back in NXT. I had written up an article just prior to that where I was just like, I don't know, fucking throw Apollo Crews down there and have him fight Bron Breakker. So when he popped up, I was like, there you go. All right. You're not necessarily listening to me, but I fucking like it. You know?
This NXT is so great for those guys on the main roster who have been just treading water for years and years, it feels like. It just comes down there and the crowd treat him like they're a god.
Mhm.
Like they did that with Natalia and Dolph Ziggler, and now they're doing it with Apollo. Basically, it's
Viking
like,
Raiders.
oh my god, an actual main roster guy, an actual star has come down here. Even Apollo Crews, who is about the furthest thing you can get on from a star on the main
Well,
roster.
I mean, they've kind of just reverted back to 2015 when it was like, hey, Tyson Kidd's fucking killing it on NXT. And then, he got a run out of it.
Yeah, definitely. That is the route that they're taking with these people. The lower card guys are going down. That's the way it probably should be. It just gives me I can't help but just somewhat the back of my mind smile about the fact that someone like Apollo Crews comes down, the whole like crowd are just on their feet and going crazy for it, and just like, wow, this place has actually no stars of their own, so they have to just bring on the dregs of the main roster.
Especially because it's like
feel like it's interesting.
Those same people go to an episode of Monday Night Raw. They're not going to go nuts over an Apollo Crews match. They're going to be like, oh, this is on main event. Okay, T-Bar beats Apollo Crews or something. They won't care. T-Bar should be one of those people that maybe should go back down since they don't fucking want to put him in Judgment Day like they should. Cedric Alexander would be a good person that could go down there. Drew Gulak, maybe.
Benjamin.
Yeah, Shelton Benjamin.
Let Haas and Benjamin beat up the Creed brothers. Like,
bring them in for a couple weeks. Yeah, give them a couple paychecks. It's not like they didn't do that with other people in the past. They did that with Headbangers. They were on the roster for like 4 weeks.
That was so weird. Yeah,
don't understand that at all. It was so strange. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for Apollo Crews doing that. I think that I don't know when the next actual pay-per-view would be in NXT because they don't really do that anymore, but you would think that it would be somewhere around that SummerSlam range. Yeah, they can't do it that weekend, I don't think.
Why not?
But it seems like that's going to be pretty packed.
They don't give a shit about Starcast.
Yeah, true. I guess they really would just be like, who fucking cares? But I'd like to see Apollo Crews versus Braun Breaker, and it'd be fun. Let's talk about tonight's SmackDown. Let's go there. Then we'll end things with New Japan, I guess. Maybe we'll come back around and talk about any kind of TV things if there's other stuff to talk about. But we do know that we
haven't formally talked about Raw, so we should.
Yeah, we'll come back around and talk about Raw. The episode of SmackDown tonight, though, we know that we're getting the Intercontinental Championship match between Gunter and Ricochet. So I've already written up that Gunter wins the championship because it's clearly gotta happen. Like, come on, if it doesn't, that's absolutely ridiculous. But we also know we're going to get 2 Money in the Bank qualifying matches because they finally decided to wake up and start doing something with that. They didn't do that on Raw, but they're doing it on SmackDown. We're getting Lacey Evans against Xia Li and Drew McIntyre beating Sheamus. Because clearly Sheamus is not going to win that. Lacey back on SmackDown again. I don't know why they had such a weird back and forth going on there. And she is possibly a babyface against the possibly a heel Xia Li because they just don't fucking know what they're doing with these people. And I'm thinking Lacey Evans wins this, and that sucks for Xia Li.
Well, yeah, obviously Lacey Evans wins this. She might win the whole thing. What's the men's one? Sheamus and Drew?
Yeah.
I'll never complain about seeing them work. Like, they're great together. But I think Sheamus should win this.
I'm hoping Sheamus wins it because if McIntyre wins, especially if he wins Money in the Bank, it's even more ridiculous. I've written up 2 or 3 articles at this point of how Money in the Bank does not fucking matter this year because clearly nobody's going to beat Roman Reigns. But imagine how stupid it would be if Drew McIntyre wins Money in the Bank and he goes, I'll wait 3 months because he already said he wants to fight Reigns at Clash at the Castle. So I don't want Drew to win that.
So I'm of the mindset that I don't want Drew to win because if he's in Money in the Bank, he's going to be the top baby face that you quote unquote expect to win. And then the Usos are just going to take him out because they know he's going to cash in on Roman and they don't want that.
I'm still really, really hoping Sami Zayn wins this. But as far as the predictions for this set of qualifying matches. What do you think, Alan? You think we're getting Xia Li, Lacey Evans, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre?
I think it's going to be Lacey Evans and Drew McIntyre.
Same reasons?
The Lacey one's pretty obvious, I feel like. They're not doing anything with Xia Li, and this is Lacey Evans' first match back since her return and switching between two different brands. So she should probably get the victory here. And then you have, I think Drew McIntyre is going to win. I think he is a solid favourite for Money in the Bank. And I know you're not keen about the whole idea. And I'm not really keen on it because realistically, he could just earn a title match or just say, I want a title match at Clash of the Castle, and they'll give it to him because that's how it works in WWE.
You already did that.
Yeah. So he doesn't need to win Money in the Bank to get there. But I think that he needs to, even if they're not going to give him the Money in the Bank briefcase, he should still win this match because he's a much more likely candidate than Sheamus, and so that adds a bit more intrigue to the match.
As far as anything that has happened already on TV this week, let's go back and talk about some of those things. We mentioned some of the things that happened on NXT, like the Apollo Crews situation and Roxanne winning that NXT Women's Breakout Tournament and all that. But on Monday Night Raw, we started off with Cody Rhodes talking about how maybe he might be in Money in the Bank, which made me just go, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
He's winning Money in the Bank.
You think they're really going to put him in there and have him climb that?
Absolutely. He can climb the ladder.
Okay, the difference is now that he's had surgery now. So like Brandy said on Twitter, he's had successful surgery on his torn pectoral muscle. So, and it's much more dangerous for him to be involved in any kind of physical activity while he's recovering from surgery than it would be to have just delayed it for a month and had him climb a ladder. You probably shouldn't be getting involved in anything even remotely physical until he's in a decent enough state to recover. I think it would be like him going out in that Hell in a Cell match was reckless enough as it is. Having him even if no one touches him, going into the match with a recently repaired torn pectoral muscle is lunacy.
Hey, hear me out. He's got his own elevator. Doesn't have to climb the ladder.
It'd be a great way to do that. Just swerve everybody with him doing that, and then everybody just still cheers anyway because they're just like, "Fuck yeah, okay, I'm down for this." He gets attacked by Seth Rollins, who had teased potentially turning babyface for the second time.
Dude, I was like, all right, you just got your top babyface until he gets back.
I think it's a mistake.
I was like, he should have turned babyface. I think that was the easy thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and this feud will not die.
Well, it's like the Edge and Randy Orton feud from 2 years ago.
Well, I think that this is leading to what I would say is an easy scenario, even though I don't necessarily want to see Cody fighting the same guy over and over and over again since coming back. But I think it makes all the sense in the world to have Seth win Money in the Bank. He's the one that beats Roman, and he defends the title against Cody at WrestleMania.
I agree. So it's kind of like I just compared it to Randy and Edge. How originally the plans for Edge at Mania were going to be another Randy match, like a Hell in a Cell or whatever. And it was just like, makes sense. Wouldn't want that to be the case, but it does add up. I think Cody versus Seth could be easy pickings here.
Yeah, like you get there super easily. You have, let's say Roman defends the title successfully against Drew at Clash of the Castle, and then you lead to Survivor Series. Roman's facing, I don't know, whoever, Randy Orton, Riddle, whoever beats them. Then he starts kind of promo about how he's the biggest in his family, and like the family runs through him. You have The Rock, if you are building up to that match at WrestleMania, The Rock comes out, beats up Roman, lays him out with the rock bottom. Seth cashes in. Seth is now your new heel champion. Cody comes back around about that time. He wins the Royal Rumble. He challenges the title at WrestleMania. Then you have a hot, big title match for WrestleMania that's built up through this spot here. Good long-term storytelling. And then you have the Roman and Rock match, which does not need a title involved in it.
I'll go a step further. If it's Survivor Series, you might not even need The Rock for the cash-in. Imagine Roman gloating on and on about 10 years ago, I walked in here and I've been the man ever since. And who takes him out? The other guy who debuted 10 years previous at Survivor Series. And then it's Rollins is great. And then Roman can get all hot-headed, and then you can build to the Rock match in another way.
I, of course, think that they don't even know what they're going to do tonight on SmackDown yet. Let alone
No, for the most part they
it.
don't. But it's always a different story when it's like the top guys that they actually care about. They do seem to have a bit more of a vision for those people, so I think they might have that in mind for Cody. Or at least that's what I hope. I don't like.
I think Seth or Cody has to be the favorite for Money in the Bank. You have a really good idea, Tony, with the Sami Zayn thing, but I don't see them actually going that route. And then it's like McIntyre doesn't need it, so I like all the scenarios that we've just thrown out.
You know what I don't like? The idea that they teased that Becky Lynch could win that 24/7 title, and instead they're like, nah, Dana Brooke just wins the kind of fluke thing or whatever. Because I was of that opinion of multiple people that I know talking on Facebook and Twitter at the time that are like, you know what? The 24/7 title doesn't mean jack shit, but if you put it on Becky Lynch, it'd be kind of interesting. And they didn't. So I was, okay, shit, we're going to get more of the love story garbage, which is currently the only story that I have written down on my notes for worst storyline of the year.
Yeah, I was shocked. Another situation where I had the article ready and the headline was 24/7 title hits the big time. But, you know, they didn't go with it because that would have been fun. Boo fun.
Yeah, it was kind of an overall pretty dumb segment because Becky should not be losing matches by distraction to Dana Brooke. And yeah, again, it just builds up these whole feuds that are built around the fact of, oh, we continue to cost each other matches. Let's have the two big losers fight each other. It's just like, I always think that's the word. Just have, it's a very simple formula. You have two people that you want to have a big grudge match against each other in the next pay-per-view. You have them win matches against other people in the weeks leading up to the show and talk about each other on commentary and beat each other up and stuff like that. And then you have the match. Instead, they always go the roundabout route of, oh, I have a match against this jobber. Oh, I lost because the other person distracted me. Well, next week, that person is going to have a match against jobber and they're going to lose because the other person gets distracted and blah-de-blah-de-blah, but everyone's going to talk about how it's such a big deal.
Can you imagine the promos Becky could have cut? Being like, of course I'm the 24/7 champion. I am the man 24/7. Like, damn it could have been so good. It could have been so much fun.
It would definitely been a shot at the arm that title desperately needs. But then again, I'd almost feel embarrassed for Becky to be holding that title because it is such a joke.
That's why I think someone like Becky could have raised it up. You know, because not many people can do that, but I think Becky could have. You know, almost like Undertaker holding the hardcore title.
Yeah, but they decided to keep it on Dana, do the same shit that they've been doing for months. So nothing fun going on there. I know that you guys will disagree with me on this one, though. We did get something that was interesting later on where Judgment Day announced their newest member, Finn Balor. And while I will agree with you guys on why you disagree with me on this, they decided to excommunicate Edge from the group, and it's Balor, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley who would go on to win a number one contenders match later on in the night. And Edge is no longer a part of it. And
why does that make sense, Tony?
I fully 100% agree with you guys that this is completely illogical in the sense that Finn Balor took the pin, Edge beat him. Why are they siding with the guy that lost over Edge? You know, that batshit stupid. But I will say, despite the fact that it doesn't make any sense, I thought it was interesting. And I think that the group might be better overall going forward at this point without Edge. He could take some time off. I think
they're about to get fucking wacky. If the report that Sean put out is true about them wanting to make it more of a supernatural group, and Edge said no, I think they're about to get wacky.
You think that they're feeling that itch of we don't have Undertaker or Bray Wyatt or Alexa Bliss doing that, and we just, damn it, we need to do that kind of gimmick?
Yeah.
Could be awful. Could be great. I don't know. I mean, we've seen more awful than great.
We saw it coming with Edge, and it felt like they were going to do that anyway. And I was like, that's weird. Edge has never been one to have powers, but whatever. The thing is, not only did he win at Hell in a Cell, not only did Balor lose, but now it's almost like, well, there's no payoff for the AJ feud. There's no payoff really for anything because Edge and AJ never settled their score, I guess, even though Edge beat him 2-0, so it's Edge. But Edge is immediately a babyface, and yeah, look, I know the hypocrisy. I also came on here and said, yeah, I think a lot of people just wanted to see Edge be Edge, but I didn't make the decision to put him in this storyline, have him cut his hair, have him get new music, and then go, hey, you want to be supernatural? Not really. Hey, Cody's gone. You want to go back to being a babyface? Being a babyface. Come on, man. And why would Rhea and Damian be like this Hall of Fame guy who's helping us win and revitalizing our careers? We don't want that. We want this guy who hasn't done a damn thing on the main roster ever. And yeah, I know he was first Universal Champion, lost it in a day due to injury, won the Intercontinental title, and I couldn't even tell you what he did with it.
Defended it. Yeah,
don't forget, Rob, he was United States Champion earlier this year as well.
Well,
yeah, that's true.
You know, who beat him for that, Callum?
Who did beat? Who's United States Champion?
Priest by turning heel.
No, Damien Priest was the guy that he beat for the title.
Yeah, he beat Priest, and then Theory beat Balor.
Oh yeah, Theory beat Balor. I forgot.
That happened. There you go. That's how forgettable this Finn Balor shit is. Look, I like Finn. I like Finn in Judgment Day, even though I was like, oh, this is pretty random. But come on. If you know that this is the plan, and they had to know, just let Balor go over. That's it.
It makes a lot more sense if Balor beats Edge, and that's why they take Edge out, and Balor becomes the new, not necessarily leader, but the new member of the thing. Yeah.
Because what this is going to lead to is AJ and Liv, potentially with Edge, I hope not, going against those three, and then it's like, what did we accomplish?
I actually think that they're not going to do anything more with Liv and AJ.
Yeah. Well, maybe, I'm sorry, Bianca, because Rio's actually moving up. So Bianca and either AJ will probably be like, what the hell, man? We were fighting against these guys. What about Bullet Club or whatever? And like, come on.
And Balor will cut a pretty lame promo of just kind of, you don't understand. I need to win more. Yeah.
And like selfishly, I was hoping that the heel Edge thing would lead to like some one-off in Saudi or Wales with Cena. I was hoping for like Edge and Priest being tag champs. And this just feels like they have no idea what they're doing. And I hate that. I hate when you can feel that this was a rushed decision.
Yeah, I'm very much feeling the same way. I mean, what is the... Forget about the supernatural side of things, or even the fact about how this whole thing just doesn't make any sense. So there's actually the whole group dynamic with Judgment Day, whether it was Edge or Balor. What's kind of the goal moving forward? Because
they can't win any titles.
Yeah, because the tag champions are heels, the United States champion is a heel, and the world champion who's never around is a heel.
And your Intercontinental titles on the other brand, and it's going to be a brand new heel who you don't want to lose anytime soon. So
the only title they could go for is obviously Rhea's going after Bianca, but they're doing that now. And
Hold on. If Rhea wins the Money in the Bank and Gunter wins as we all think he will tonight, Will every champion in the promotion be heel?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they've done that multiple times before. That's kind of
Yeah, but not in this landscape where it's like you don't even have any baby faces to challenge.
Well, Dana's 24/7 champion.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that praise be.
Yeah, but that storyline is heel. So.
Yeah, but the whole thing, as Rob has very clearly pointed out, and rightly so, is completely nonsensical. Don't get me wrong, Tony. I can understand your perspective, and your perspective is essentially nothing fucking happens on this show, and so I'm excited when something does.
that's how you can boil it down for me. As I was like, oh, neat.
Yeah. Yes.
It's
yes. I can
fucking dumb, but hey, it's something.
Yeah. So I can understand that point of view, but just looking at it, just a sense of okay, why does this make any sense, or what is going on? It makes zero sense that they would replace Edge, who hasn't lost since forming Judgment Day and turning heel, to side up with Finn Balor, who only loses pretty much. I don't know, he's United States champion
all year. He beat Miz and then he beat Miz again. He hasn't lost all year.
Yeah, and it's just it's pretty it's just a strange decision. I think, considering now the three people that are in this group, it feels like it's going to be even more mid-card. If it is going to get spooky, and
now it feels
essentially
like
it's going to be
mid-card.
Yeah, it's going to be Demon Balor, and it's eventually they can't do anything until Edge is back. I presume that the match at SummerSlam they're going to do is Edge versus Balor. That seems like the likely way. That seems like the likely thing. They'll keep Edge off TV for a little while following the beatdown he took on Raw.
Fucking hair out.
Yeah, I mean they should have one of Balor or Priest qualify for Money in the Bank, and maybe Edge takes them out at Money in the Bank, and that's part of the reason why they don't win the briefcase. Then you build up to the match at SummerSlam. Of course, Edge is on his own, and so that means that Priest basically doesn't wrestle anymore. It feels like, or he doesn't wrestle on the big shows. He's pretty much he's the biggest side piece out of this entire group, because Balor's now the main guy. Rhea is the one that can go after the women's championship, and Priest is just kind of there because they can't be a tag team because they won't go after tag titles. Balor won't win the world title because it's Finn Balor. He's never going to win the world championship, and so that means that his ceiling is United States champion again. And what does that leave for Priest?
He could sit there and go, rise.
Yeah.
And that works so much better when you're the heater of the weathered mentor, Hall of Famer Edge. Now you're just backing up. It's the demon and the Danian or whatever the hell. Remember that? I don't get this. Obviously, we're gonna get some Finn and Rhea versus Edge and Beth down the line. But again, where does that leave Priest? Honestly, if Christian wasn't in AEW, I'd at least feel like, oh, he gets some Edge and Christian action going on. But, that can't even happen.
If they do go with this whole supernatural thing, do you guys think that they're going to do more face paint going forward? Because I can imagine that they're going to go half-assed Demon Balor. Like, he won't do the full, all the torso and the head thing and all that.
Black, where he got the shit on his face?
I think he'll just have face paint. Maybe even half his face, even.
To be fair, I'm less concerned about the aesthetic more than what it means for the matches and feuds.
Yeah.
Because I do not want to see Bianca Belair in a feud where Rhea Ripley, the lights are going off and Rhea Ripley's turning up behind her and stuff like that. It's just.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that I'm in the minority on this podcast. The fact that Undertaker's not my bag. I very much liked him as a wrestler. When he's actually it's him against Shawn Michaels or just anybody, and it's just a bell to bell match, then Undertaker's top class. When it's him, the lightning coming down and the lights going blue and just intimidate a guy with mist or druids surrounding the ring, it's I kind of just want to see people wrestle. And so whenever there's a supernatural aspect, whether it's The Undertaker, whether it's Alexa Bliss or The Fiend or something along those lines, even more likely they're going that kind of direction with
Gacy.
Or Gacy and House of Black as well.
Yeah.
I just feel like I just want to see wrestlers wrestle for the most
The
part.
people have figured out the reason it works for Taker is because Taker was in an era where it was a super Saturday morning cartoon vibe. And he just managed to make it work. But the problem is he became the door that made everybody think, oh, we can all do these supernatural types of deals, and it never works.
And also
Ever.
with Taker, if you look back, he didn't do it all the time. And when he did it, a lot of the times, sounds kind of ridiculous to say, but it quote unquote made sense. Like a bunch of heels put him in a casket and then he floats through the Titantron to take time off, and it's like he's ascending the heavens. That makes more sense than Damian Priest just sort of stands there in purple lights and they go, I guess that's the end of the match. And then they move on after a commercial break. Like that type of shit is just like, you didn't even fucking try. That's, you know.
Well, fundamentally, the reason why it could also kind of work for both The Undertaker and Kane, as in the past, is because they established from the get-go these have supernatural powers.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Papa Shango. Of course, that's obviously like a whole nother kettle of fish in terms of just being a bad gimmick. But at least you know from the get-go, this person has a supernatural power. It's when it's like Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, and Finn Balor who have demonstrated nothing to that level. Obviously, you've got the demon aspect, but there's nothing supernatural about the demon.
No, he literally he comes out,
yeah.
walks to the stage or walks to the ring and then wrestles. It's the same shit.
Yeah, you could say for the most part it's an intimidation tactic. That's
the one time they tried to add a supernatural ability was they jobbed him out even harder when when he lost to Roman because the rope broke.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what's going to happen with this group. They're just going to perpetually lose matches.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that's definitely in the future, a few months down the line.
Priest, who was chilling with Bad Bunny, is now like, I'm gonna be the bodyguard for this demon guy.
That's who Edge's partner will be at SummerSlam. Bad Bunny coming in and says, "What happened to you, man?" It's like,
you know what? When does the Monsters movie come out? Edge can team with Rob Zombie, right? Like, we can just say fuck it and just do whatever.
Maybe you can start doing the build already for that superhero movie that Bad Bunny is going to be in. The Spider-Man offshoot where he's the luchador. And he could have superpowers, and Damian Priest could have powers, and everybody could just have power. You get powers, you get powers.
Would have worked a lot better in the Thunderdome.
Yeah, that's true. They could have actually fucked around with that. But nah.
It burned a guy alive in Thunderdome.
Let's see. Anything else on Raw? I don't think so. I think we pretty much talked about all that. As far as
John, we didn't mention it, but John Cena come back on the 27th of June.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they did do that. I was like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? They had a little advertisement about that.
Have you watched the video on WWE's YouTube of him analyzing his debut match?
I did an article about it. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's
great
so
video.
Good. Yeah,
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's only like 9 minutes.
It's
or
about
so,
10 minutes long.
Yeah.
Think about this, Tony. He's openly just reflecting on everything and going, this doesn't make any sense. I wasn't ruthless or aggressive. This is kind of stupid, actually. And you can see that no one's interested. It's a really fun look back.
Anything on Dynamite you guys want to talk about? Outside of the fact that there's things building up to the Forbidden Door that we kind of touched on.
There's a ladder match next week. Again, they do a lot of ladder matches, buddy.
I think that this episode of Dynamite, above anything else, has opened a lot of people's eyes to a lot of the underlying booking difficulties that they're currently facing. I think that a mixture of injuries and just poor planning in general, I think they've been hot-shotting a lot of things. Again, it's still by far my favourite show to watch week to week, but I think that there are cracks beginning to form, and they've become pretty close to service in the sense of you have this battle royal, the Casino Battle Royal. Why the fuck are the ass boys in a battle royal to determine who's going to be facing Jon Moxley?
About that.
There should be a logical reason why certain people aren't in the battle royal. And I know they did the thing with Hangman Page saying that, okay, I wasn't booked for it. that's kind of just showing some ineptness or an unwillingness to put him back in that match. Wardlow gave his explanation, which was also bad, about the fact that he wants to beat CM Punk. He says he wants to beat CM Punk. Well, win the interim title and then beat CM Punk and then you're the world champion. That's kind of how
I took it as like that Rick and Morty meme. Like, oh, that sounds like that sounds like beating CM Punk with extra steps, and he just doesn't want to take the extra steps. He just wants to beat CM Punk.
But then he said he's going for the TNT title.
Yeah, I know.
So he's just like other belt.
Yeah, he could have easily just said, "Hey, eventually I'll get there, but I want to right the wrong of the TNT title first."
Yeah, he could have said something like that, but he didn't. And that's just a case of bad scripting. Why wasn't Jericho there to be in that?
That's weird. Because he did the commentary for Rampage. So he was there.
He was too busy fighting with MVP, right? No, I think there's something about that he was on like a family vacation or whatever.
Right. He was at the show.
Well, yeah, but they gave they always go with this sort of like level of mindset that Rampage is not on the same night. It's not recorded on the same night as Dynamite, so he can be at Dynamite, be at Rampage, but be away for Dynamite. So, but either way,
I think it hurt honestly because he could have added some star power there.
Like he should have really been in the match. Understandably, Neville and Murphy wouldn't be in it because they're in the qualifying match. But why is Malachi Black not in this match? Why is Miro not in this match? You need to, even if those people aren't going to win, you are dead set on this Kyle O'Reilly win, which I thought was a fine decision. Kyle O'Reilly's been on a winning streak, so it makes sense that he would win this match and go on to face Moxley, even though it did kind of telegraph that it was a foregone conclusion. But I think most of us felt it was a foregone conclusion that Moxley was winning anyway, so it didn't really matter who won the Battle Royal. But you would have some of the big people in and just have them get eliminated. You could have Miro get eliminated by Ethan Page in the match, and that sets up their future one that's coming up in next week. You could have Malachi Black get eliminated by some people from Death Triangle because Phoenix was in the match. Well, Pac was in the match on the night, so I don't think that they would have gone with that. But you could just have Malachi Black get eliminated by Phoenix or just get eliminated by anybody. They shouldn't be scared of it in a battle royal. Things happen. Big stars get eliminated. That's just what happens.
I understand them not putting Miro in because he just came back, and unless you're gonna win, don't put him in the ring.
I just think, why aren't the Hardys in it? The Hardys are a bigger name than the Arse Boys. So
I understand why Jeff Hardy wasn't in it.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff's going to be in a ladder match next week.
I know that. We'll get there.
Don't fucking understand it.
Yeah, but yeah, you could have had one of Jungle Boy or Luchasaurus or both of them in it. No, there was no Kazarian in it. There was no Sammy's away, so I can understand that Sammy wasn't in it.
You're Christian.
But, Christian. There are plenty of bigger names than some of the people. I understand you can put some of those people in. John Silver, I think, makes sense because he could be like the Dark Order's representative. That's fine. They get one representative in the match, and they go with him. You could put Max Caster in because Max Caster does get a pop because he's a decent level name. Although I don't think he's won a match on TV this year. So that's again. I think there should be.
Hobbs is in it, right? Hobbs was at
Hobbs was in it. Yeah, Starks was in it, and so again, it did have a decent amount of star power, but I think you could have done with getting rid of some of the dead weight and putting in some other bigger names. But just to make it seem like, this is for the interim world championship. I want to win that belt, and then I want to beat CM Punk and become the undisputed world champion.
I do agree. I think Christian would have been a great addition. I wish Joe was healthy. Again, Jay Lethal, by the way, the world champion.
Yeah, he definitely could have put in this match as well. But that's neither here nor there. They had the match with Kyle O'Reilly and Jon Moxley. It was a very good match, as you'd expect, and Moxley won, as most people expected. Other than that, the women's title match in this show was an absolute train wreck.
Hey.
I can't believe how bad Marina Shafir is in the ring because they present her to be like better than that, and she just has squash matches on Dark that don't go.
Did you say she's a problem in the ring?
She's definitely not solving any problems in the AEW's women's division by having this match, but they set the seeds for the Toni Storm title match, which would be a lot better.
Why? But why? She fucking lost.
Yeah, I know she lost as well. So it's like, why didn't she win the Owen if that was going to be the case? But they just wanted the
Rampage
visual.
spoilers for tonight at Earmuffs, folks. But Britt Baker cut a promo and said, "I know my woman's title misses me." You damn right it does. Look, I'm all right with her saying that because I'd rather the winner of the Owen challenge than Toni Storm, who didn't win.
Yeah. And then, well, yeah, but they had to give, they just had to have that. Again, that's another thing that just sets a few warning signs, is like they just wanted that one-off visual of Adam Cole and Britt Baker holding the titles together as like the power couple. And then, but it just doesn't make sense because Adam Cole's recently fighting for the world title, so he shouldn't be going after the world title again or going up against Adam Page again, even though, well, they've had 2 recent matches with each other. And Britt Baker shouldn't be positioned as the next challenger for the women's title because she was just the last champion, and we've got loads of other talented women that should have an opportunity at the title. Again, it's just, there are some cracks for me. Hopefully they will rectify it, and I'm still looking forward to the door. I don't want to make it seem like, oh my god, I don't like AEW anymore, I'm just switching off and going to find something else. I'll give NWA a try or something like that. I'm not that desperate yet. But it's, yeah, I don't think this was a particularly well-booked episode of Dynamite. But we do have at least an inkling of an inclination that it's going to be Hangman Page versus Okada for the IWGP Championship. But that very much depends on what happens at Dominion.
I could see, granted, I'd rather Okada, don't get me wrong, but Hangman versus Jay White is a match that would draw some eyes.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to be doing with
this. I
this.
definitely think it's heel winner or winner versus either the heel Adam Cole or the babyface Hangman Page. So whomever wins, I think, has a good indication of who will fight who on Forbidden Door.
I don't know how they typically do things in New Japan, but I kind of think we might get a 4-way. It might be
It's on American soil, so you can do that.
Jay White, Okada, Page, and Cole.
Well, they won't do that because they already have a 4-way on that card.
That's true.
Oh, they already, yeah, I guess they might.
And I think that would be a pretty big waste of I'd see one of those matches without the belt anyway. You know, Okada, Cole, Okada, Hangman.
Well, also we don't know. Adam Cole's not medically cleared.
He'll be ready to go by Forbidden Door.
Yeah, but he won't be medically cleared to beat Adam Page for the opportunity to face Okada.
Triple threat.
So, I just think that like, you just said, like, Hangman Page calls out Okada. You could have Adam Cole say that Jay White has the opportunity, and make it
clear that it's Hangman.
Yeah, make it clear that it's Hangman's the one that's going to be fighting Okada.
Well, I haven't been doing a good job of making things clear lately.
No. So, but hopefully, again, Forbidden Door sets things back on a positive course because it's a one-off super show. So maybe that's the reason why they're so all over the place, because they're trying to balance out both AEW and New Japan stuff, and it's getting a bit convoluted. But that's at least what I hope is the case. If not, then it's demonstrating a few deep-rooted problems that need to be rectified.
In the meantime, we should transition over to talking about Dominion as our final topic here.
We didn't talk about Ospreay.
Oh yeah, we probably should mention that as well. Yeah, yeah. Will Ospreay and members of the United Empire, Aussie Open, and Aaron Henare appeared. They took out FTR and Trent Beretta, setting up a 6-man tag or trios match, as they refer to it, of course.
I'm sure will be a banger.
Yeah, between those guys. So yeah, that will be a very good match, and looking forward to watching that tonight on Rampage.
What do you think Ospreay does at the pay-per-view?
Very much depends on Dominion again, so we should probably get to Dominion first.
Well, as far as Dominion goes, Ospreay is fighting for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship in a 3-way against Juice Robinson, champion, and Sonata. I, of course, will carry this on through any of these predictions. I do not watch New Japan, so I don't even know some of the people, let alone what their current standings are. I could not tell you ahead of time that Juice Robinson was a champion, let alone the United States champion. I have no idea what Sonata's been up to, etc. Obviously, I know a little bit about some of these people in particular, but I don't know. I mean, I could imagine Ospreay winning that title and defending that at Forbidden Door. I could see that happening.
So it's based on, again, as I know a little bit more about the whole what the recent booking has been. So Sonata was previously the United States Heavyweight Champion. He had to relinquish it due to injury. So this is his match back for the title. Juice won it at the most recent big show that they did, where he defeated Will Ospreay, Jon Moxley, and Hiroshi Tanahashi in a fatal 4-way to win. I believe it was vacated, so it was the vacant title at the time. So Juice has only recently been crowned champion. That does not necessarily mean that there will be a title switch.
It doesn't mean he can't lose it, though.
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely could lose it here, but I think it is highly unlikely that he will lose the title to one of these two. So I would go with Juice Robinson retaining.
I would as well, because Bullet Club is going to have a strong presence on Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
And since it doesn't matter at all with our fantasy league, I'm going in Will Ospreay. Why not? I'll be different. I'll be the contrarian. We've got 6 or 9. That's the name? 6 or 9. Why don't they, if they're a tag team, why don't they put those two together? It's more fun. It's Ryusaki Taguchi. Am I saying that right?
Do you want me to run down the card?
Yeah.
No. No, I think it's more fun when I struggle. And Master Watto.
All right.
Against Hiroyoshi Tenzan and United Empire.
Mm.
Okay.
So it's Hiroshi Tenzan, Master Watto, Ryusuke Taguchi against the United Empire team of TJP, Francesco Akira, and Aaron Hanare.
Yeah, those guys.
So that's again, there's not much at stake here because it's just one of those like prelim 6-man tags. It really doesn't matter who wins, but I guess the level of interest depends on the fact that Master Watto and Taguchi are the junior tag team champions. TJP and Francesco Akira are a junior tag team. So the likelihood is that one of them will pin Watto or Taguchi, and then they'll get the next shot at the junior tag team titles. So, yeah, I think that'll be the direction. But realistically, it doesn't matter who wins.
Yeah, this one really doesn't. But I'd say Taguchi and Watto, just because.
It's never Watto because Watto sucks.
All the more reason. Well, who are the current champions?
The current tag champions are Watto and Taguchi.
Oh well,
but he sucks. Just because he's a champion doesn't mean he's any good.
Fair enough. We see plenty of instances like that. But
Sorry,
if not,
talk about Evil as a 6-man tag champion a little bit, but
if not that, then I would say the Empire.
I'm gonna go United Empire. Give him a win heading into Forbidden Door.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that 6-man tag with Evil? There you go. It's House of Torture against Suzuki Gun for the never open weight 6-man tag team titles.
Yeah,
Goon, but
sure,
you got it, buddy.
Yeah, so Evil Show and Yujiro Takahashi are the champions going into it. I think they've been champions for a little while, so it wouldn't shock me if it's title change, especially because it's the 6-man tag titles and they get thrown around more than the blonde girl at a frat party. So I think that I think that it's unlikely that we'll see a title change, even though I like Kanemaru, Despy, and Zack Sabre Jr. They'd be good, like, trios champions, essentially. But I think that House of Torture, because they're somewhat aligned with Bullet Club, they might just keep the titles on them.
That's going to be my question. Are they still Bullet Club?
They're a side show of Bullet Club now. They're like a splinter piece. I think you described them very well as they're essentially the...
I did. They're NWO White with Virgil and Stevie Ray.
Yeah, they're the comedy side of Bullet Club now. So I think it's...
just leave the belt on them. Dance with who brung you.
Yeah, again, it's one of the ones where it just doesn't really matter. I don't think whoever wins this match is going to play a big deal into Forbidden Door. I think it's very unlikely that they'll have the never 6-man titles defended on the show.
There's also LIJs, Tetsuya Naito, Bushi, and Hiromu Takahashi against Bullet Club, Phantasmo, Ishimori, and the newest member, Ace Austin. First question, how do you feel about Ace Austin and Bullet Club?
I'm not against it. Ace Austin's really good. I think that based on what they were doing with the Super Juniors, I think it would have made more sense for Ace Austin to have a tag team with Alex Zane, because they look like they were doing pretty well together, and so I think they've hot shot Ace Austin into Bullet Club too quickly. But
I think he's in Bullet Club because Bullet Club was doing stuff in Impact,
yeah, with Chris Baggs,
yeah, and I think that'll be a good pairing. I think Bullet Club wins here. Let Ace pin
Bushi. I mean, Bushi's obviously the one that gets pinned.
And, yeah, that's true, because you're not pinning Naito or Romo. But, yeah, Bullet Club wins and move forward. What do you think, Tony?
Yes.
All right.
I'll say Bullet Club.
I think this is somewhat interesting, not necessarily for the sake of a Forbidden Door, but it's they are both building up Ace Austin as the new member, so it would make sense for him to get a victory. But they're also building up Phantasmo as a new heavyweight. So I could see him potentially getting a pin as well.
Good move.
Normally, I would have gone with the other team because Naito's in there, and I know how big of a name he is. But then again, with all the other people, it's just, I don't, not everybody wins every match just because they're a big enough name for me to know it. So
yeah, and he's on the come down a little bit now because he recently fought Okada for the world title and lost. So he's currently in a bit of a directionless state at the moment.
There is also a singles match between Toru Yano and Doc Gallows.
The one that
I just want to remind everybody
earlier that Callum was saying could potentially be the
it won't be
one for really the All-Atlantic.
Yeah. It won't be. Look, I just want to remind everybody, Gallows once pinned Kane on pay-per-view. He was under a mask, but he did it. Yano will probably win through some shenanigans, and this will be a comedy match, and people will have fun.
Yeah, it's I know why the match is happening is because Carl Anderson is having a singles match later on in the card as well, which we'll talk about in a bit. But so Doc Gallows just needed something to do. Yano is a guy that people enjoy watching, even though his comedy is a bit tired at this point. But yeah, hopefully it'll be pretty short. It has zero consequence to it, so probably just have Yano win.
All right.
I'll go Yano. Yeah. We've got the Bullet Club all over the place here and everything, but as far as I'm aware, that's all of the Bullet Club members that are in this, right? Except for Jay White, which we'll talk about.
Oh, actually, and Carl Anderson as well.
Oh, that's Anderson. Okay, so let's talk about Carl Anderson then. He's up against Tama Tonga for the never open weight title. I, of course, don't know what's really going on, but I'm going to say that the title stays on Tama Tonga.
I think you load the Bullet Club up with gold going into Forbidden Door.
For people that are only kind of really familiar with Carl Anderson as a tag team guy in WWE, and if you've seen him in Impact and AEW, he is a huge deal in Japan. Like he's essentially the leader, the founder of Bullet Club, along with Balor when he was Devitt. So he's like almost like the godfather of Bullet Club. And I feel like it would make a lot of sense to have him beat Tama Tonga here, because Tonga's fine and it's good for him to have a singles belt, but he's a tag team guy, really. Whereas Anderson can be pushed up to a more upper mid card main event level if they need to. So,
fun fact: pre-COVID, the game plan was Carl Anderson beats Moxley for the U.S. title at Wrestle Kingdom. That's the level he's at.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that we'll see a title switch here.
Yeah, I would say that's the right call.
We got Taichi against Shingo Takagi.
Yeah, what is the stipulation for this one?
So the stipulation has been voted for now. It's past the fan vote, which is the case when you have the King of Pro Wrestling. It goes to a fan vote when both guys put forward a stipulation. Shingo's stipulation is one, which is I believe a
10-minute unlimited
10-minute unlimited pinfall scramble. what that entails is that the match has a 10-minute time limit. Anytime someone gets a count with shoulders on the mat, it could be a 1 count, it could be a 3 count, it could be a 10 count. Whatever it is, the counts get accumulated, and the person who has the most pinfall counts at the end of the 10 minutes wins the match.
Can I just say that I love this? Like, at least you're trying something different.
I just think it's going to be so interesting with the psychology in that people will be going for roll-ups and just trying to score a 1 just to get themselves on the board. I feel like then they'll start going into the actual match and trying to get big pins on each other to try and hold them down for as long as possible. There's so much more urgency about kicking out quickly. Maybe if you get a super big lead, you take a few seconds and you're able to just like take a few pin counts to recover. I think this could be a really interesting match to watch. And that's kind of the beauty of the King Pro Wrestling title. It's not exactly the most prestigious title or accolade in wrestling, but it does come up with some very, very unique match types. Some really bad, some really good. I think this will probably go into the latter category.
We also have the IWGP Tag Team Championship on the line. Jeff Cobb and the Great O'Khan against Bullet Club's Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens. Now, Callum, I'm seeing on this graphic that Fale and Owens are the champions.
They are.
And I ask you why.
Because they didn't have Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows available yet.
There you go. I think that's the right answer. Now, I did say load the Bullet Club up with gold going into Forbidden Door, but I think it makes a lot of sense for Cobb and O'Khan to win here and to have some kind of ROH New Japan title for title match with FTR at Forbidden Door. So I'm going to go United Empire.
I was thinking that as well, but then this whole Roppongi Vice wrench in the works is making me think that it'd be a triple threat match. And it'd be weird if like 2 teams are champions and then the other team is not a champion and they're fighting for the 2 other belts. Just feels a bit weird. You'd thought that Roppongi Vice would come with at least some gold around their waist to make it 3 teams battling for 3 titles. But Fale and Chase Owens is a weird team to have as your tag team champions.
Team, man.
And don't get me wrong, I'm super happy for Chase Owens because he's been the whipping boy of the Bullet Club for so many years. And so for him to finally have some gold and a bit more prominence does...
That's Phantasmo as well.
Yeah, that does warm the heart. But I think that United Empire are the better team. Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan really work well together. So, yeah, I would hope for a title switch. I'm not 100% confident, but I'll go with the title switch happening here as well.
I'm going to say FTR does something to screw over United Empire.
Do you think they're flying?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a possibility. And it also quite weird because they're 2 heel groups as well, so it'd be quite interesting to see how the fans react to this match as well.
What else do we not talk about yet? We got the Hiroshi Tanahashi against Hiroki Goto for that spot at Forbidden Door, which is
I wish
pointless this match.
Yeah,
I wish this was Naito.
It would make more sense, right? Because it's like, well, all right, well, so Tanahashi wins, and we get Tanahashi versus Jon Moxley, which we just
I really wish assumed. This was Naito, because then you could be like, Naito against Moxley would be a great match, and yeah, I know they fought each other 100 times and whatever, but it'd still be more of a who can win here. We're not getting Mox and Goto in the main event of Forbidden Door. Tanahashi wins.
Yeah, Goto is such I would say weird choice because he's always been mid to upper mid card in New Japan, and they have given him world title opportunities before. But the whole story of Hiroki Goto's career is that he doesn't win the world title because he's had. Ziggler. Yeah, he is. Well, yeah, except that he actually has never won the world title. And yeah, well, I prefer Goto actually to Ziggler, but that's just me. But you could have had literally anyone. Like Naito's a good choice. Zack Sabre Jr. would be a great choice. Ospreay, if he wasn't involved in that, would be a great choice. You have Suzuki is not on this card. Ishii is not on this card. Pretty much any one of them would have at least maybe thinking, oh, maybe it won't be Tanahashi, but when it's Goto, it's like, oh yeah, it's definitely Tanahashi because there's no way they're giving Goto that sort of prominence.
Did Mox ever get his match with Zack Sabre Jr.?
Unless it happened in the G1, I don't know.
Because I remember that was like one of the big angles pre-COVID, that Sabre Jr. came out and beat up Moxley, and I don't think they ever got to do that match. That would have been a really cool potential red herring. But yeah, Tanahashi's winning this.
I'm curious if there are people that really actually think that might not happen. Because everybody that I've talked to is like, okay, well then Tanahashi wins. Even if they're not, tapped into it, like how I'm not. I'm just sort of like, yeah, they're not going to go with anything other than Tanahashi. You can move on.
Yeah, it depends. The only people that I would say are like hardcore Goto fans, and there are those that exist, and they're mainly, obviously, Japanese watching New Japan. And there are some people who don't think it's going to happen, but I know are trying to will it into existence just because they love to see the world burn.
Yeah.
It's not the case because Goto's not a bad wrestler by any stretch of imagination. He's very, very solid. He's very, very dependable. But it just isn't a marquee match. This isn't you don't have Goto main event your first ever New Japan AEW crossover show. I mean, it was going to be Tanahashi against CM Punk, or it was going to be Okada versus Page, or whoever the world champion is against Page. So you weren't gonna. Goto was never going to be in the conversation. So why would he be involved now? You would only do that if you're just desperate to swerve people, and you shouldn't just swerve people for the sake of swerving it, because again, that is a bad underlying sign.
What do you guys think is actually going to be the main event? You think it's going to be the Okada match?
It should be the AEW World Title match.
Of what? A Forbidden Door?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Interim World Title match.
Yeah, because I think even though it's a crossover show, it's interesting now, because now there is an element of doubt because it is an interim title. It's not as quote unquote prestigious as the world title match.
Mm-hmm.
So there is
hey everybody, Okada wins and he won't be on Dynamite.
And yeah, but that is part of that thing. But then again, this is also a New Japan show as well, and so like they're doing it on New Japan World.
They headlined in the Garden.
Yeah. And I would say that just from a personal preference standpoint, I think even though I like both matches, I think Okada versus Page will be a better match than Moxley versus Tanahashi. It'd be very close, but I feel like that would be an even more thrilling match. And just think about it, like if Page beat Okada, that'd be huge. I think that's more huge than if Tanahashi beats Moxley.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But then again, we don't know if Okada's going to be champion yet, because we've still got the final match to talk about.
Yeah, that's true. That's the last match that we haven't talked about yet, right? I think we covered everything else.
Yeah.
So Jay White could possibly be up against Adam Page for there. I mean, that would be a match to be interesting to see too. But he did call out Okada, and Okada is going in as champion for Dominion. So I am expecting Okada to retain here.
Yeah, I think that's the likely scenario. So they've only ever had one World Championship match against each other beforehand, which Okada beat Jay White for the title. That was the main event
in the Garden.
Yeah, that was the main event of the MSG show. Every match they've ever had beside the world title match, Jay White has beaten Okada. So they have a very inbuilt story there that White has Okada's number in many circumstances. And yeah, this is one of the biggest matches they can put on right now. Jay White is the biggest, outside of Ospreay, I'd say, is the biggest. How do you describe it? I should know this term.
Gaijin.
Yeah, Gaijin. They're the biggest Gaijin star in the promotion, which is essentially like non-Japanese. But Okada is the big star, and you want to have the biggest star be part of like being one of the most prominent matches of this Super Show coming up. And I think people want to see Okada. Jay White is a big deal, and I think people like Jay White and think that he's going to be, he is a superstar level talent for New Japan. But I just think that Okada's marquee is so much stronger with the American audience that it would be a huge mistake to have him drop the title here.
So here's where I get a little worried, because they're banking a lot on this Bullet Club Undisputed Elite thing. And I'm worried that if if there's no representation in the top matches, that this show ends with like for lack of a better term, an NWO style, and Bullet Club and Undisputed jump everybody and Too Sweet.
I can see that.
I think that's a big possibility. I think that the interesting thing about especially New Japan shows, and this will be the case with this, and this will be very telling depending on what happens, is that after the main event, whoever wins the match gets a microphone, basically sends the crowd home happy, and this is usually the opportunity, especially when the main event is a title match, that the next challenger comes out and challenges the champion. So if we have Okada get the victory, and I think Hangman's on his way to Japan. I think you'd be stupid not to have Hangman come into Japan for this. Have him just come out after the match, get in Okada's face, challenge him for the title. And then or if JY does win, either way, he should just challenge the guy for the title, and then you're off to the races. You could have Adam Cole flying to Japan as well to like add a bit of a spanner to the works, but I personally hope that's not the case. And then you build it up from there. You just primarily would just have Okada be in video packages. Maybe he appears on the Dynamite before Forbidden Door live. So you get that home. Yes, you get that pop from the crowd there, and then he appears at the show. But I think that, you should have Page should be in Japan on Sunday confronting the champion, or do it via satellite like Jericho did when he challenged Omega and stuff like that. One way or another, we should be seeing Page make a challenge here.
Speaking of Omega, by the end of Forbidden Door, is Kenny Omega back?
No.
All right.
I don't think we're going to see him back until maybe even next year.
It's hard to predict just because of the significance of his injuries and how many surgeries and treatments he's had to on his road to recovery. So, again, I think stranger things have happened. Like nobody predicted Cena to be back in time for that Royal Rumble that he was back at, but I don't know if Kenny Omega has Wolverine regenerative powers like Cena does. So we'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't say it's completely out of the question, but I'm not going to be disappointed if Omega doesn't turn up.
I don't think it will guaranteed happen, but I think even more so much emphasis is being put on Bullet Club and Elite that I think Kenny at the end of the show, even if he doesn't get physical, is the way to go.
See, I think that also, again, don't have too much longer, but I think the emphasis that people are now putting on Bullet Club and Elite is based on the announcement of the show. And kind of since then, there's been
they keep talking about it.
Yeah, they keep talking about it. And in New Japan, Bullet Club is now up at full strength again, and it's building itself up more prominently than it has done in the last year or so. So there is that to it. But I kind of also feel that maybe due to things that have happened, Cole's injured. He might, if he's back by Forbidden Door, then fine. But he is at the moment on the shelf. They've had obviously Punk's out. I know he wasn't
Danielson's out.
Again, hopefully he'll be back by the time that the show happens as well. But I think certain things have changed to make it feel like, obviously there will be a Bullet Club presence on this card, but it may not be in either of the main event matches or be in any way kind of related to it.
I don't know, but I guess we'll have to see as the weeks go on. And it's at least exciting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this show. This could be a show that could actually rejuvenate my interest in New Japan, because it's been waning a little bit. But I'm looking forward to that, and I hopefully we'll see some AEW presence in the G1 coming up soon as well.
Yeah, I'm interested, and we might be able to do something based off of Dominion this weekend. It's kind of up in the air a little bit right now, so don't count on it being a guarantee or anything. We might record some kind of a dark cast and check that out and
review.
Maybe we'll review, or at the very least, if any of us check it out in any fashion, we'll talk about it in some fashion, whether it's like part of the hot takes next week where we're like, yeah, what do you think about Dominion? Or, maybe we lump that into the reason why we would pick certain people in AEW over the WWE mock draft, or, we'll talk about it in some way. But if we can try to do some sort of like a dark cast or watch along or recording or blah, blah, blah. So stay tuned for that. Of course, just make sure that you are subscribed to this channel and you check out smarkatmoment.com to see everything that's happening over on that site. And of course, also follow Facebook and Twitter at smarkoutmoment. If you're interested in other things outside of pro wrestling, go to fanboysanonymous.com and check out what I've got going on there. I don't know the next thing I'm going to do. I started writing up something actually about how the ground and flying types don't make any sense in Pokemon and that they should just get rid of them. And then I ran out of time and haven't gotten around to working back on that for the past few days. But maybe I'll finish that if I get the chance. Maybe I'll do something completely unrelated. I saw Jurassic World Dominion last night, so it's a different type of Dominion.
Was it as bad as they say?
It's not great. I mean, the first Jurassic Park movie is a 5 out of 5 movie. Everything else has sucked, basically. So it's not like it's good, but I didn't think it was garbage or anything. Like, Morbius was way worse than this was. It's a lot of fan service, and at least it was like, oh, yeah, I like that. They did that. I think it's worth a watch if anybody's interested enough. If you watch the last one, this is better than that one. I'll give you that. So I didn't bother to do a recording or review point or anything for that, but I might do something. I don't know. Just go to fanboysanonymous.com and you'll see whatever is cooking there whenever it pops up. Follow me at Tony Mango all over the place and check out what else I'm working on. Also, follow these guys because they are awesome. Rob?
Yeah, you can follow me everywhere at Dude Felice. You can eventually, at some point, this will be an accurate statement, check out dudefelice.com for a bunch of random things. That'll essentially be like my fanboys, my little mango tree hub kind of thing. And yeah, just keep following me everywhere. Follow me on Twitch. Give me those Prime subs. Yeah, I would always appreciate any kind of support there. I want to do more watch-alongs and some side watches because I'm not sure if I can just show SmackDown while I'm watching it, but gonna do more there. And yeah, I now give you to Cal Muggins.
You can find me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. Check out all the stuff that's going out on the smarkatmoment.com website. And that means the power rankings, my week-to-week contribution, but be sure to be checking out the other articles as well. And follow the Fantasy League as well, either on the website or go to wwefantasyleague.com. Find out the latest standings, who's top of the leaderboard, who's been picking up points this week. And yeah, that's it from me.
That's going to be it for all of us for the hot tags. We want to thank you all for listening and joining us for this and showing your support in whatever way you did. And we will see you next week with our mock draft of that AEW and WWE roster as far as that week goes. I don't know, maybe something changes in the next few days that makes us look at things a little bit differently. I don't know, but we will see in a few days. And until then, have yourself a great weekend. Adios for now, everybody. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we are being counted out.